Invitations to a christening are always handled informally, by brief note, by phone, by telegram, or in person, and should go only to those believed to be really interested in the event by reason of their relationship to or close friendship with the parents. Here is an example. Usually, only infants and very young children are given godparents, among those Protestants believing in baptism. When a child, for some reason, is not Christian until he is 8 or 9 years of age, presumably at the age of understanding and able to read the service with the clergyman, he may accept the sacrament on his own cognizance. His parents are present, and he usually receives a baptismal gift of some significance. Dressing the baby for the occasion. The armful of petticoats and the long embroidered christening dress are lovely, but definitely a luxury, as the modern baby in everyday life is free of such bundling. If you have a christening gown that's been handed down, or can borrow one, or are given one, use it by all means, but a short white dress for a little baby will do. The shoes. Even those little silk top and soled ones are not necessary either. The baby wears white booties in cold weather and can be barefoot when it's warm. If he needs a bonnet and a coat, it could be any color for the baby or white, but both are removed as noted before the ceremony. Adults and children attending the christening, whether at home or in church, dress as for church. Godparents and their responsibilities. Godparents chosen according to the customs of various denominations from among close friends and occasionally relatives of the baby's parents are preferably of the same religion as the parents. Or if they are not, they must be willing to answer the baptismal questions in the prayer book to serve at an Episcopal christening. Catholic children must have Catholic godparents, and Catholics may not serve as godparents to a child of another faith. Godparents about the same age as the parents or younger should be chosen very carefully from among one's oldest and closest friends, as the association itself should be long and close to the child. In the service, the godparents promise to oversee the spiritual education of the child and see that he is confirmed. They have an implied responsibility of parenthood should the actual parents die before the child reaches maturity. Often various friends and relatives invited to the christening brings gifts to the baby, but the godparents always presents him with something he can use or perhaps hand down to his own children. Many godparents have a warm relationship with their godchildren throughout life. On the other hand, increasingly, godparents cease to take their responsibilities very seriously. Many may not have any contact with the children once they have reached their majority and the responsibilities of the godparents are over. Some people are asked to be godparents over and over again. They should not accept such responsibility lightly, nor should they any longer, in most denominations, feel unable to refuse the honor politely if they already have a godchild or godchildren. A tactful reply might be, I already have one godchild. I do take the responsibility seriously, and I feel that I cannot accept an honor of being a godparent to still another child. Church christenings. If the christening is to take place in church, arrangements are made with the clergyman and the time set. As babies are not always too happy about their christenings, it is best for them to be brought to the church just before the event is to take place. The godparents arrive either with them or shortly before and take their places near the font in front of the clergyman, with other friends and relatives nearby. If the baby has been dressed in a cap and jacket for the trip to the church, the outer things are removed and if the church is chilly, the baby is wrapped in a white afghan and handed to the godmother without his cap. As the clergyman takes his place, the congregation stands. At the proper moment in a Protestant ceremony, the godmother hands the baby to the clergyman and, when asked his name, pronounces it very carefully. Only the baptismal names are given, for example, Stephen John, not the surname. In the Catholic ceremony, the godmother or a nurse holds the baby over the font to receive the holy water. If other than a godparent holds the baby, spiritual contact by the godparents is established by the godparents touching the child during the ceremony. If the name is at all complicated, it should be written down for the minister and handed to him just before the start of the ceremony, as the baby's baptismal name becomes his legally. After the close of the service, the clergyman signs the baptismal certificate, usually included in a little commemorative book where there are spaces for the names of godparents, the parents, and the various witnesses to the ceremony. At a Catholic christening, the baptismal certificate is not necessarily presented at the close of the ceremony, but is available any time. It is required for the child's first Holy Communion, for confirmation, and for marriage. The clergyman's fee. As with other church sacraments, there is never any required fee, but parents usually do hand the minister an envelope containing an appropriate amount, anywhere from $5 to $50 or more, depending on whether or not the christening is to be followed by a large luncheon, tea, or reception, to which the clergyman and his wife or the priest must be invited. Of course, particularly on Sunday, they may find it difficult to attend. The christening at home. The baby is more likely to enjoy his christening if he may go through the short ceremony in the comfort of his own home, with as little change in his usual routine as possible. Some Protestant denominations permit home christenings. Catholics do not permit home christenings except in the case of dire emergency before the administration of last rites. The requirements are a pleasant flower-decorated room with space for the assembled guests, a small waist-high table on which is set a silver bowl to be used as the font. If the table has a high patina, it is often left bare, or it may be covered to the floor with damask. The base of the bowl may be placed within a circlet of delicate white baby-like flowers. At a late afternoon christening followed by tea, white tapers in silver candlesticks, lighted of course, are suitable on the table if they don't crowd the arrangement. At the home christening, the clergyman is not necessarily vested, but if he is to dress, he is shown to a special room. If the christening is followed by a reception, he changes into his street clothes immediately after the ceremony before attending the reception. If very young, the baby necessarily appears only briefly, just long enough for the ceremony. If he is older and sociable, he may enjoy watching the celebration of the occasion by his elders from some quiet corner where he may be occasionally admired but not disturbed by his well-wishers. He may even be able to enjoy a grain or two of his christening cake. Refreshments after the ceremony. Champagne, plain or in a delicate punch, has replaced the traditional bottle cup at christenings. But at an afternoon christening, a good dry sherry or, in winter, a hot mulled cider or wine might be very welcome. A morning or early afternoon christening is sometimes followed by a luncheon, often buffet. But whether a tea or a luncheon is given, the food is more or less the kind one serves at wedding receptions. There is some kind of festive beverage for toasting the baby's health in the christening cake. The godfather proposes the first toast. The cake is a white cake with white icing. It may have white icing decorations and often bears the baby's initials or name and sometimes the date of the christening. It should be kept in mind that this is a celebration in honor of the baby following a formal religious ceremony. It has a character quite different from a cocktail party and should be kept on such a plane that even the most conservative baby could not object to the behavior and bearings of his elders.